Hello, good morning once again. Welcome to our university virtual classroom. And to remind everyone that this content is for the exclusive use of the University of Mindanao virtual classroom. Okay, so the last time we ended up with uh, the use of communications in many different fields. So today we will be discussing one of those fields that it where communication is of utmost importance, and that is in the field of business. Okay, so enjoy the music, and at the same time you may take notes and try to make it a point goal that in the future you'll be able to, or even in the present you'll be able to use the things that we'll be teaching here, that we'll be learning, so for practical use in business. So all of us will have to learn how to conduct business one of these days, whether we like it or not. Business is part of our lives, no matter what kind of field you have chosen in college. You can never do away with business. For example, whenever there will be times when you'll be selling your uh, land or house or just a personal property, or your spouses or kids would have uh, a household business like a tocino, chorizo, or other stuff that you want to sell online, then communication is very important. I am a teacher, but I'm also involved in a lot of businesses. Like I'm into network marketing. I convince people, or I sell the idea of joining the company as a member so you can enjoy these particular perks. So I do that as well for how many years now? But it's just that I'm geared towards teaching more than devoting most of my time into the business. And in order for you to really make it big, you you got to have a lot of dedication and passion for that line. So, but for me, somehow it has helped augment excuse me, the family income in many ways. I also sell, for example, I have this one. I sell this book. Uh, this is a book. This is not book. This is a book stand there. Very durable. So I sell this online, and I'm just surprised because people will just call me right away and have it. They want it delivered in their doorsteps. So, well, why not? It's an extra income. So these are examples of how you can deal with business. But if you make business as a career, then I'm telling you, businessmen have more cars than employees. Businessmen have enjoy traveling around the world than most employees do. So why not make it a career? Okay, so I hope you will consider that as well, because we are geared as Filipinos, we are geared towards having a professional job, and we thought that it's the only way you can earn money, but we can earn more by becoming businessmen. So along with doing business is the use of communications. Okay, the importance of communicating effectively for business. Okay, so effective communication is a vital tool for any business owner. Your success at getting your point across can be the difference between sealing a deal, like in real estate, or missing out on a potential opportunity. So you should be able, letter B, you should be able to clearly explain company policies to customers and clients and answer their questions about your products and services. So it is crucial to communicate effectively in negotiations to ensure you achieve your goals. Okay, so for example, in selling insurance, there's a lot of things to explain to the customer so that they won't be misinformed or misled by other things. So it should be clear for them their obligations and how they can possibly forfeit the plan by uh, negligence. So you have to remind them that to really keep up with their obligations, financial obligations to the company as well, in order to uh, enjoy the benefits or what they call this, uh, the purpose of the insurance itself. Okay, letter C, communication is also important within the business. Like if you're the manager of a company, how do you communicate with the employees? Okay, so effective communication can help to foster a good working relationship between you and your staff, which can in turn improve morale and efficiency. Okay, so understanding communication. Success in any conversation is likely to be achieved through both parties listening to and understanding each other. Practice the following skills in any business situation where you communicate with others. Okay, so what are these key communication skills? So useful communication skills for building positive interpersonal relationships include: A, should be active listening. B, understanding nonverbal signals. Maintaining eye contact. Assertiveness. Being mindful of people's individual space. Using positive body language. And dealing with different points of view. Let me see. Okay, using positive language. Was it explained each? Okay, so I think it's not. So active listening deals with talks about having that uh, intentional intentional action to really understand and listen to the person, not just hearing him out. So sometimes there's a distinction between listening and hearing. Listening is more active while hearing sometimes becomes passive. You just hear the sounds but you don't make the effort or exert the effort to understand the person. So that's what active listening is. You can tell if a person is actively listening to you if the person is asking follow-up questions, or if he can tell something was wrong with what you had said. So that is active listening. Okay, understanding nonverbal signs, signals. Sometimes when you're talking to the person and can you tell if the person is still interested with what you have to say? Or you can read the body language if the person is somehow feeling like he wants to go out already, just don't know how to say it, or if the person is staring at you blankly, so possibly the person is thinking of something else while he's showing the impression of listening to you. So those were part of nonverbal signals. Can you tell if the person is sold out to what you're selling, or he is almost convinced that your product is really good and worth buying? Okay, then maintaining eye contact. You don't need to really look at the person all the time, but at least most of the time you have to look at the camera, or if you're conducting it online, or at least glance at him. Even if you're reading something, you have to glance at the person for some time. Okay, assertiveness. How do you close the deal? Be assertive. It's like being forceful, positively forceful about it. Don't be a wimp. That's the point. Huwag maging wimpy. Okay. So next is being mindful of people's individual space. So even though uh, you feel like the person is leaning towards you in terms of showing his trust to you, at least you should still respect the person's individual space. Okay, so if the person is um, probably for example, the person is of the opposite sex and she's being conservative, then you have to be mindful of the space that you don't need, that you would respect uh, the distance between you and her. So wag maging feeling close, kumbaga na to the point na mag-akbay ka na sa kanya or anything, or hold her hand. So that's an example of respecting individual space. What else? Using positive body language. Now you can present present to somebody that manampiling ka na, so, or feeling in pain or sad. Sometimes there are situations that happened in our house or with your wives or husbands or girlfriend, boyfriend, and somehow that thing uh, affects you emotionally. So if you're in business, you can still ignore that for the moment and use positive body language, because you will be conducting a sales presentation afterwards. So that's an example of using positive body language. When you speak, when you're given a chance to speak in front, use your hands to show gestures. Use your voice in a way that it shows excitement. Okay, so, and your facial expressions should be communicating to the audience, should be used for communication as well. And what else? How do you deal with different points of view? If the person agrees with you or disagrees with you, how do you deal with that? Do you act in a way that is very defensive, or do you intently use active listening to the person, so in order to understand the person's point of view? Okay, next, the personal awareness skills that help with communication can include understanding the benefits of a positive attitude, then awareness of how others perceive you. How do others perceive you? Like, that's the purpose why sometimes when we speak, we look at the mirror so that you can tell how you look like in front of other people. Or sometimes you record your voice on the phone, for example, in order for you to determine how you sound like. Like before this recording, I did a test recording for like a few minutes, just to test how I sound like. Is my music heard or is it too loud? I tested it before, so that in the final run it comes out smoothly. Okay, so that's one example. Next is the self-confidence. How do you face other people? How do you face people who are of higher ranks or people of high regard in society? How do you deal with people who are older than you are or more experienced than you are? How do you talk to them? So you should have a better grasp of how you look at yourself. Your self-esteem somehow builds your self-confidence. Okay, presentation is dressing appropriately for different occasions. So we have what we call power dressing. It also helps to consider the circumstances around your communication, such as the situational and cultural context. We call it the verbal communication. Okay, verbal communication can bring great rewards to your organization when carried out successfully. but it can also be hazardous to your business when approached the wrong way. Okay, so the words you use are important, but equally important is the way you express them. So it's not just what you say, but how you say it would also matter. So we call it the verbal communication context. Okay, using positive language. So you're likely more to achieve positive outcomes when you use positive rather than negative language. Positive language is helpful and encouraging. It suggests alternatives and offers solutions to problems. It is a language that stresses positive actions and consequences. Now, for example, you are a supervisor and you have people under you, and you saw somebody submitted a poorly done report to you. So how are you going to deal with that? What are you going to tell the person? So you call the person's attention and you can possibly tell him, instead of saying, what kind of work is this? This is nonsense, this is stupid, and blah blah blah. So these are negative words that can bring the morale of a person. So instead of doing that, you can say, well, I know you can do better than this. I believe you can do better than this. It's just probably you're caught up with a lot of situations in your family, but I hope you focus and do things better the next time. So I try to really practice this even as a teacher. I never turn my students down, even no matter how they mess up in class. So I tell them directly what they need to do or how they can improve. But as much as possible, I really try to avoid using negative phrases or the language in general. So I give them hope that they can improve, they can change, they can do this and do that. Okay, so you can do the same in business, in handling people. You'll never know, the person who needs help today would become your star, a hero for the company in the future. It's just a matter of how you build them up and how you support and help them. Okay, so for example here, another example, if you are negotiating with a supplier who is not willing to budge on price, your language should convey the desire for a win-win scenario, a situation that both parties can be happy with. This is likely to make your supplier more willing to negotiate, perhaps on issues other than prices, such as delivery costs or payment terms, than if you also refuse to budge and accuse them of being inflexible. Okay, so now we have the Davao barter community, where you can even sell items or trade items with other people. Doesn't involve cash necessarily. So it's just a matter of negotiating with them. Now, if their terms doesn't go with you, how do you suggest for other items? For example, if you don't like the item that they want to trade with yours, then offer them something or ask for something equitable or equivalent to the value of what you are trading with them. So it's just a matter of talking it out. Okay, next, using I statements rather than you statements often yield the better results in verbal exchanges. So for the example here, you say, I need more information to make a decision. It sounds better than, you need to give me the information before I can make a decision. So what's the difference? The reason is the I statement sounds better is that you are saying that what you need rather than telling somebody what they should do. Somehow that's somehow it's has a what they call this, lesser impact to the person. Doesn't attack them or require them to or force them to do something, but you are just suggesting to them that you need it. Okay, next we have assertiveness versus aggression. So what's the difference? Assertiveness often through the use of I statements is stating that you plan to do what you plan to do instead of coming across as hostile You are making a statement about something you feel or perceive. So aggression is completely different and is usually perceived as hostile or unfriendly behavior. It often uses the word you, so people can become unhappy when you tell them what to do. So even when talking to employees, it is wise to soften language when asking them to perform tasks, as they are likely to respond better to requests than orders, even if you're the boss or the supervisor. So you can simply say, I need this place to be clean here, or I need this place cleaned up, or I need to have the latest report on our sales. So instead of telling the person that you need to give me the report right away, you need to clean this up. Okay, so I hope you get the point. So that's the difference between assertiveness and aggression. Okay, consistent assertiveness shows others that you're confident and open to suggestion, but it won't be taken advantage of. So leading to a mutually accepted outcome. Okay, because sometimes when you're too soft, you could be prone to abuse. So you still become firm but assertive. Okay, speaking style. Speaking style means the tone, the pitch, the accent, the volume, and the pace of your voice. So all of these matter. The tone could be lonely, or happy, or sad. So that refers to the tone. The pitch is the use of the notes like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that's tone. Uh, no, that's pitch. I mean, so sometimes it makes a big difference. Even dogs read the pitch of your voice when you call their names. So I have a pet. So if you call Aizen, dali dali, or say Aizen, dali dali. So they know that you are already angry because of the pitch. Even sometimes dogs don't really understand the words you are saying to them. There was this video in YouTube when the person says to his dogs, "You know, I love you very much, and I really care for you." And he does it in a shouting voice. And you know what? The dog was scared, but the words actually are very caring. But the way it was said, it was said in an angry tone. So that's why the dog was dead scared. So that means dogs read the tone, the pitch, and the nonverbal expressions of your face more than what you are saying them, what you are saying to them. I have our neighbor's dog who, whenever he sees me far away and I'm angry and I point at him because he is barking too loud, he just keeps quiet, even me without saying a word. Just looking at him eye to eye and I point at him, he knows he gets the message. He keeps quiet and goes back to his sleeping position. So that means dogs read body language, and more so if you include speaking. Okay, so include pitch and the accent, the volume, the pace of your voice. Okay, so the same sentence can be conveyed or understood in entirely different ways based on how it is said. People you speak to can be motivated by a positive speaking style, just as a negative style can put them off. Okay, so we all remember our teachers who had treated us differently, or the way they speak in class. Either it has a negative or positive effect on you, we remember them on how they do it. We remember leaders like Duterte, the way he speaks. That's why people call him Tatay Digong, because sometimes he really sounds like a father. He has that fathers are angry when things are done in the wrong way. Fathers are sad when tragedies happen. When his soldiers die, the way he speaks to the family, he really speaks with a humble heart, apologetic sound, apologetic tone. And whenever he talks about drug addicts, that's why we hear him say a lot of cursing words, but it's directed towards bad people or when bad situations happen. And we can relate. Our fathers do that. I do that sometimes as well. Even I can't help it. So uh, that's where you see the sincerity of the person. When the person is really angry, he shows indignance over things. When he's sad, he shows, or he's apologetic, he shows remorse in his words. You cannot say sorry by with a sounding happy, right? So when you feel when you ask sorry from somebody, when you ask apology, it has to be accompanied by the right tone. Okay, so pace, the volume of course includes to the highness and the loudness, I mean, and the lowness of the voice. The pace of your voice refers to the speed. You can speak fast when you're just talking to a person face to face, but when you're speaking to a crowd, you have, especially if the place echoes your voice, then you have to speak slowly. You remember the priests in cathedrals when they speak, they don't speak fast because they are aware of the echoes of their voice going around. So that's why they speak in a very slow pace. Busa mga kahigalaan atong paminawon. So that's how they say it in Bisaya. Okay, so the same sentence can be conveyed or understood in different ways. So people you speak to can be motivated by positive or speaking style. Okay, so you should always try to speak with a positive voice. So avoid monotonous responses or talking too quickly or slowly. Be as clear as possible and try to engage the listener, as this is far more likely to promote the response that you are after than if they leave the conversation deflated. Okay, so that's one thing to remember. Okay, then asking questions. So the more you can find out about the person's needs, wants, or interests and situation, the easier it is to reach a win-win outcomes. So you learn more about people by asking them the right questions and by taking the time to listen to their answers. So that's active listening. People also tend to respond well when they feel their opinion is being sought genuinely by another person. So particularly in a business situation where conversations can have important consequences for both parties. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask questions and clarify or even confirm your understanding of things. Okay, so that's really important. It it helps prevent misunderstandings or unclear conditions. Okay, so ask the right questions. Okay, what are the types of questions that you can use? So you can use the following types of questions in any business situation. So number one, we can have open-ended questions or open questions. Questions that require a person to elaborate or explain, helping to build rapport or relationships and encourage them to open up. Well-chosen open questions encourage responses to questions you might not have thought to ask. So for example, how has your business changed in the last few years? You cannot just answer that question by yes or no. So they have to really provide more information, and you can do follow-up questions after that. Okay, so next you can ask closed questions, closed-ended. So questions that require only a short, specific answer, such as yes or no, such as, are you happy with the proposal? Or so these are good for finding out facts, limiting and guiding a discussion in a particular way, and gathering specific information from which you can generate an open question. So especially, I remember when I worked at SSI, where we conduct surveys from people, we seldom use open-ended questions because somehow it causes them to speak more, and most of our respondents doesn't like speaking a lot. So we ask them a lot of closed-ended questions like, do you or does anyone in your household work for a call center? So we just want to know if any of their household members work for newspaper agencies or radio stations or uh, what I remember other stuff. So instead of asking them, where does your family members work? So we just ask them yes or no or closed questions instead. So they can just answer yes or no, yes or no. So it would be faster to gather information that way. Next, probing questions are more targeted questions designed to develop a more specific understanding of the other party's view on a matter. For example, how could I change my offer so that this proposal will be a win-win for both of us? Okay, so probing questions are designed to generate more specific answers. I remember when I was in that same survey company. So we begin with close questions like, are you in favor of Bill Clinton's Obama's healthcare policy? When a person says yes, so a probing question that goes after that is, and why are you in favor of his policy? So the person is now supposed to provide reasons why he is not in favor. So that's an example of probing questions. So next we have confirmation questions which are used when you need to be sure the other party understands your message. So what benefits do you think this proposal will bring to your organization in the next year? So what else? So that means if the person really understands the proposal, he will tell you more about its benefits. So that confirms things. Can we also have summary confirmation questions used to clarify your understanding of the other party's needs? So for example, could I summarize what you've just told me so I can check I've understood you? So you said you want a computer system that will allow you to your staff to complete their tasks in half the time, and training for all your staff on using this new system. So if the person says yes, so that means you understood what he needs based on your understanding. Okay, so that's what crews in food companies do as well when they take orders, like when you order from Jollibee or from McDonald's. So after you have ordered, they will confirm your order. Ma'am, did I get it right? You ordered this, and this. So if they say yes, then that means you got it correctly. Or if they say, oh no, I need the large one. Okay, so things can be changed before the transaction is completed. Okay, so how about using questions in a conversation? So generally, you will have the most success when using a range of question types in a conversation. So using open and closed questions together can help you guide the conversation and encourage the other party to contribute as well. So using only open questions can result in digression, a conversation straying off course. Okay, so using only closed questions can make it too easy for the answering party to say just yes or no. So because they only encourage a basic response. So closed questions are not good rapport builders or conversation starters. It is therefore important to use both types of questions for maximum success and engagement. So a combination of closed and open-ended questions can bring in good results. Okay, question styles to avoid. So some types of questions do not lend themselves well in business situations. So what are these? For example, the destructive questions. So you're saying it's my fault? So something like that. Or when you say uh, when leading to or manipulative questions. So you'll have that done by tomorrow, right? So that's manipulative. You're forcing the person to do it by tomorrow. Even in the courts can identify leading questions. That's why you hear it in movies when the lawyers of the other parties would stand up and say, "Objection, Your Honor. The question is leading." So because it's like saying, uh, "When was the last time you stopped stealing?" That's a leading question. You're accusing the person that is a thief already. Okay, so what else? Multiple questions at once. Like, when will you want it? Or don't you want it? You can't get it anywhere else, can you? So, say the questions one by one. Okay, don't throw it like a shotgun to your to the person. Okay, so asking these kinds of questions does nothing for your credibility or your ability to negotiate efficiently and effectively. Okay, next is listening effectively. So I had discussed this uh, initially. So these are the details. Okay, it's one thing to ask good questions, it's another to really take on board the answers. So you can often be distracted by your own thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And so you tend to hear what you want to hear, or more usually, what you expect to hear. So you're often thinking about your next move or what you should say next, or you're trying to second guess where the other party might be leading you. So to listen effectively, you need to suspend these internal thoughts and give your full attention to the speaker. Only then can you really hear what they're saying. So sometimes we are so angry at situations and we ask a person a question. So instead of listening to the person's explanation, sometimes we are bothered by the thought that this person really has ill intentions and I'm not supposed to listen to him or something like that. So that's not uh, effective listening. Okay, active listening means paying attention to the speaker, both to verbal and nonverbal cues. For example, if you see them look down or appear uncomfortable in some way while saying, "That's all I can tell you at the moment," you might deduce that they are withholding information. So this type of active listening alerts you to the opportunity for a well-constructed, open, or probing question to gather the missing information. So if you're not listening effectively, it can be easy to miss signs like these. So you have to pay attention. So it is vital to make sure you don't let your attention wander. So important pieces of information can be missed if you are not alert or engaged. So this can lead to misunderstandings later on, or possibly embarrassing situations where you appear to have forgotten something you have been told. So one way to help you concentrate during a business conversation is to ask the speaker some questions. Not only will this help you guide the conversation where you want it to go, or and at the pace you want, so it can also ensure your mind is focused on the subject at hand. Okay, so listen well. That's why it's not a good idea to chat with a seatmate while the speaker is speaking. So focus. Okay, some people would even turn off their cell phones while conversation or speaking engagement is going on, so that they can really pay attention to the details being discussed. Okay, so it would be very embarrassing, for example, if the speaker has already explained a particular problem, and then at the end of the speaking engagement you ask a question which he has already answered. So that would be embarrassing to your side. That means you were not listening in the first place. Okay, and sometimes as teachers, it gets gets the most of our patience too. Like you just explained something to the class, and after the class, the student asks a question that you feel you had already answered. So that means you were not paying attention when I explained it. Okay, next, confirm your understanding. So active listening should ultimately lead to complete understanding of what another person has said. So you can do this by feeding back to them in your own words your understanding of what they said. So an easy way to do this is to clarify, to paraphrase, or to summarize. So examples of the summary questions in these cases would include, so what you're saying is, so what you need from me is, or so in summary, what we've agreed is, yan. So that helps. I usually, I had a very bad experience on this area when I used to work as a waiter, and I was taking the order of John Gaisano, the owner of JS Gaisano. And he had an Italian priest and his two kids with him. So I don't know what happened when I took the order. I missed the order of the priest, and I did not confirm the order at the end of the talk. So what happened is when their food was delivered, only three of the meals were delivered. I don't know what happened to the fourth one, which is the meal of the priest. So John Gaisano was so angry. It's good that my boss uh, took care of the problem himself. So he took the order, ran to the kitchen, cooked it, and he served it himself. So I was so embarrassed uh, for that drop ball. The reason is because I did not confirm. Because they were talking, so I feel like I might be disturbing them by confirming their orders. But it was a lesson learned. The next time, even if they were having serious conversations, I really interrupt and say, "Excuse me, sir. I just want to check if I got it right. So you ordered for you, ma'am. You ordered one to start with the soup. You ordered an onion soup. Then you ordered tenderloin pepper steak for main course, a medium well with French fries, and for dessert you ordered the mango crepe, followed by a cappuccino afterwards." If they say yes, you got it right. So that means there's no mistakes. There are no mistakes on the order. So that's how important confirming the understanding of a person, of your understanding of the instructions particularly. So when your boss, or for example when your teachers give you instructions, don't be afraid to clarify and ask. So confirm. So, sir, please check if I get it right. So what you mean is we have to do this and we have to do that, and we will submit this on this particular day. Did I get it right? It's easier to answer yes or no that way, right? So that's the way importance of confirmation. So okay, what else? Um, it's usually a good idea to check your understanding regularly during a conversation. You can paraphrase or you can summarize. So when the other party has provided a large chunk of information, whenever something is unclear to you, or when moving to a new topic or area for discussion, or at the end of the discussion. So I had my laptop. I decided to buy an SSD drive for my laptop, and I went to a computer store. So, and the technician did not really listen well. So what happened is what I thought is he will remove my CD drive and replace it with a SSD, so I will have two drives. But what he did is he just replaced my original drive. So I was disappointed because it's not what I intended. So he could have asked or clarified things to me, like, sir, what do you want me to do? Should I replace it? Should I replace your drive, or shall I just add the drive and take away your hard drive? So that would have avoided the problem. See, and now I already had a police blotter against him because he did not address my issues. He just ignored me. So that's one example of not communicating well with the customers. And he took my hard drive, did not return it. I have to go back to their office and claim it. He just said, I forgot. And when I checked, my files were already gone. So I think there's an ill intention to really take away my files. So that's why I am planning to file a case against the store itself. I talked to the store owner. He said he will help me deal with the problem, but he did not do anything. So now his store is included with a mess. Okay, so that's where failure of communication uh, happens. It can cause big headaches, not only for you but also for your other people. Okay, so clarification is also a useful tool when the other party seems to be asking for a lot of information. So if their questions are poorly structured, too broad or ambiguous, not clear, you might give away too much information by answering them straight away. So it's often a good idea to clarify a question before you answer it. Okay. So that's where we end, and the next time we will be talking about the importance of communication in healthcare. So that's the the points that we need to remember in business. Okay, how communication works in business, and I hope you would apply each of these principles that we had discussed, so that it becomes a useful tool for your success in the future. So God bless, and see you again for the next lesson. Bye bye.